Yeah, obviously this might be.
So I've probably done 3 of
We're
them.
going to go viral, mate. This is going to get trillions of views, mate.
Joe Rogan. What made you do it?
I wanted to do this for a long time, and then one, putting your face behind a camera is intimidating. Mm-hmm. So that was always the thing where I'm like, I'm not really sure about it. And then, so probably the exert fitness, like Ski and Benny and Jace as well. Just like, it's like, who cares? Just fucking do it. And I'm like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, that was
like, and I spoke to a fella yesterday who I'll put his out next week, and now that I've got my first one out, we're rolling, by the way. So this is
okay.
We're in.
Sweet.
But I spoke to, like, now that so Benny and Ski done the first one.
Yeah, I saw that.
And now that because I'd been messaging people and they're probably just thinking, who's this bloke?
Yeah.
I don't even know what you do.
Yeah.
But now that I've got one, and then I'll have another one coming out, and I've got a few lined up now because I've seen my first one. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll see. And I hope
I don't wreck it.
Nah. Well, yeah, thanks for joining me.
No problem.
Gavin Moyle. Gavin Moyle. I met Gav about 5 years ago through the North Cairns Tigers Footy Club.
Yeah.
Obviously, and through Jace Tom,
Jace.
a very good mutual friend of ours, went through a bit of a journey with the footy club.
You certainly did.
Plenty of stories to be ups
and downs, yeah.
And then, but then I guess I came to know your timing being the 24th of April today. Anzac Day is tomorrow, which obviously holds a really special place in your heart, and having the Army and Defence background, which is what I'm keen to dive into, because I've heard a couple of stories, but I've never really spoken directly to anyone about it, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think I heard a story the other day about people in Australia compared to other parts of the world. If you're not involved in the Defence Force or any such as myself, we're so far removed from any. Like, we just live in like fairyland almost here, because people in other parts of the world who have wars and whatnot going around them, it's so much different compared to here. So we're so removed from it.
It's probably why they call it the lucky country, because we're probably like out of that bubble. And even with like veterans, let's just say America, like I was there probably 8 or 9 years ago, and they've just got flags for like all over the shop, and everyone's got a flag in their yard, and they got support veterans and everything like that. We very rarely see that in Australia. Like, very rarely hear anything really about the veterans in the community, unless it's a veteran organisation like Mates for Mates or the RSL, and really there's only 2 times a year that we hear about veterans, and it's tomorrow on Anzac Day and Remembrance Day, and the days before, a couple of days before, the media bumps them up, and that's all we really hear about it. And it's a bit of a shame, actually, because like 100%. We've got a long, proud history of military achievements here in Australia, and partly most of it goes unnoticed and unheard, because like I'm not a child anymore, so I don't go to school, but I don't know if they teach it in school still. And I know we dabbled in it back in the day when I was at school, which is a long time ago, and we dabbled in some of it. But it was quite uncommon when I was going to school. Like, I left in '88 to join the military. I was 17, and my parents signed consent to get me in, and so I think my last full year of high school was year 10.
Wow.
Yeah, and I grew up in Melbourne, so it was I went to a public technical school down in Melbourne.
Yeah.
But it was very uncommon back in the day for anyone to join the military. Like, they had such a harsh brand about them because of Vietnam and you know, Vietnam had finished like 15 years before I joined the army or whatever.
Yeah.
And put a sour note to say in the communities, like mines and stuff.
Is it because like people, like obviously veterans coming back, and they just were some real troubles, or like
the veterans coming back from like the stories I got told when I first joined, because when I joined in '88, like you graduate from your basic training and everything, and my first posting was Townsville, so I rolled into Townsville in like '89, and she was pretty wild back then, and there was still ex-Vietnam veterans that were in the battalion, that they were old timers, and they would tell stories at the boozer, and they would tell stories like 6 RAR came back from Vietnam and marched through the streets and got eggs and stuff thrown on them, you know, and called baby killers and crap. Like that was that whole thing. It was huge back then. So like to join the military in those years from Vietnam, like into like late 80s or whatever, was like not a lot of people did it. The military, I don't know the statistic, but the military would have struggled with personnel in that period of time.
Yeah.
Because, and the other thing was you join the military and you want to go and do what you train for, you know. It's like being a school teacher. You go to school, you go to uni, you want to teach.
Yeah.
So you want to go and practice what you preach.
Yeah. And
we weren't going anywhere. We weren't going anywhere. Vietnam up until Somalia, we didn't go anywhere. So, and we didn't even look like we were going to go anywhere. So a lot of people got out. They did their, they tried to they brought in a whole new signing on period where it used to be 3 and 6.
Yeah.
And they signed you on, when I first joined, for 4. And then you could renegotiate after that.
Yeah.
So people were just getting out. They were just leaving. There was nothing, like they were going into training and doing their training and then just leaving, you know, and going back into Civvy Street and using their quals that they got in the army, which were going very well into Civvy Street, or their like leadership qualities and stuff. But
did you? I guess when you're hearing those stories from the guy or from the people who'd been to Vietnam, like did that impact you? Or obviously you have had an army life, so
no, I think it's my great-great-grandfather. He was in the military and he put his age up. He was only 15 and he put his age up to go over, and he got caught in Singapore and got put into Changi prison. And him and me are the only ones in my whole family that have ever been in the military. And my dad has only just recently started telling me stories about him when he came home from Changi. And so there was stories like that. And then once we got in, like, because I was only 17, like literally only 17. So I was at Kapuka and I only 1 month turned 17. So I was still a kid and I was going through going through the system with grown men that are like were 40, you know, like, and back in '88, it was hard. It was hard going through basic training. Like there was no like soft approach back then. You stuffed up and you paid the price, and you got, well, let's face it, you got hit, and you never ever stuffed up in that same thing again, because you knew that was wrong. And so the whole way through that, and even when I got to Townsville, I was still only 17. I was 17 and a half. So I was not allowed to go to nightclubs or anything like that. And I was allowed to drink on base, because you're allowed to drink on base. If back then, I don't know what it's like now, but if you were in the military, you could drink on military establishments. So I was allowed to drink at the boozer with the boys, but when they went out on a Friday night or a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday, I wasn't allowed to go. So I was basically the youngest in the battalion. Up in, I was in 2-4 RAR. It's not there anymore. They disbanded it and broken it in half. I was in 2-4 RAR, and I was the youngest soldier there. I was 17 and a half, and I did a parade once with the youngest soldier and the oldest soldier, and all the parades. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it was very hard growing up very quickly. Like 17-year-olds playing. Like I was playing footy one day in my hometown, and the next minute I was like shooting machine guns on a range and getting yelled at by a 40-year-old man. You know, like, it was hard to grow up very quickly.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it at all. I'd do it again and again. Yeah. But yeah, it was hard, and I learned a lot of life lessons very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Some bad life lessons from some of the older diggers.
Yeah.
Because back then we didn't have the marriage. Being married wasn't really a priority. Like, so there was a lot of like divorced men in those. We lived in things called lines, which are like little rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they housed like 30 or 40, and there's like a whole heap of them. They're living in there, and with a whole heap of divorced, angry men. When you're 17, wasn't the best scenario for growing up.
Was it common for there to be other, like, was there other, maybe not 17-year-olds, 17, 18, 19, like, was that, or how come you went into it at 17? What was the rush, or what was the reason for doing that so early?
Just loved it from a very young age. I don't know.
Like, you wanted to be in the army?
100%. Like, I was okay at school, wasn't like the most academic person ever. Like, I can't stand learning in a classroom environment. I have to be a more hands-on sort of person and learn like that. So my grades were never huge, and all I ever wanted to do was be in the army.
Yeah.
Or the military. And when I went to join, I didn't want to join the role I was in. I just wanted to be in, so I was choosing an easy option, and I wanted to be a truck driver. That's what I wanted to be. And when I went to recruitment, I wanted to be a truck driver. He's going, oh, we need truck drivers. And then when I got there and I started going through basic training, I went, oh no, I want to go to infantry, man. They're shooting rifles and they're doing all the cool stuff, climbing through mud and all that. And but once again, that was the kid coming out of me. Once I got a few years in the battalion and I was walking up and down hills with 40 kilos on my back, climbing through mud, it wasn't as fun as it was when I was 17. But yeah, my best mate, he lives in Townsville. He was 19. And so I was 17 and he was 19, and we were the youngest by far, and the rest were all in like early 20s, mid 20s when they were going through. Yeah. Now
is there a minimum age to?
I don't know. I think
I mean, I'm assuming you would have to be at least 18.
I presume that you would have to be around about the 17 or 18, but the maximum age. Like, you can still join. My wife joined the Navy 5 years ago, and she was 50.
What was her background before that?
She was a school teacher, and we moved up here, and she was teaching up here, but just went, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And anyway, so she floated through jobs here in Cairns, but she was way overqualified for everything, and you know what it's like up here. They'd rather get a backpacker and then, you know what I mean, and put someone else on. Yeah. So she just said to me wildly one day, I'm going to join the military. And I said, oh, come on, baby. Like, you're not going to make that. Like, you saw what I had to go through for like all the years. And she's gone, no. Anyway, she flew down to Sydney. They put her in front of a panel because she was going officer. She wasn't going enlisted. Yeah. And anyway, she made the panel, and she flew down to Jervis Bay and she joined the Navy and flew down to Jervis Bay and did the recruit training as a naval officer. And this is only 5 years ago, and she left here when it was like 40 degrees and flew into Jervis Bay when it was -5. And she was one of like 130 people going through, and she was 50. She was going through with kids like me. And she was one of the only few to not do a retest or anything and passed the whole lot, and then became a naval officer. Wow. And that was only 5 years ago. So I know they take you at 50.
Okay. Yeah, wow. That's a big change from becoming a teacher.
Oh, 100%.
Like, she was secondary or primary teaching?
She was doing both, actually. Okay. Yeah, on the Goldie, when we lived on the Goldie, she was doing primary school, and then she went into high school, and then she did a bit of dabbling out here at high school too. But yeah, she went into TSO role, which is a training systems officer, which school teachers kind of go into that role where they write up programs and stuff. Yeah. But she's not into that anymore. She's actually running the drug and alcohol counselling out at base out here now.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Very good.
Yeah, right. So it's, in some ways, it's gone full circle in the sense that you're in and obviously have been out, but now she's back in there.
Oh, it was funny because she followed me around Australia from posting to posting, and then she's like, "You got to come down to Nowra. You got to come down." And I'm like, "What? It's too cold." She's going, "Oh, yeah, I followed you everywhere." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, right." Yeah. And that's why I packed up and left, and then came back. And yeah, she was cold down there.
Yeah. So obviously, just back to, I guess, to the Anzac Day stuff, and also back to the like Australia being so removed from it, because I feel like I know far too little about than what I should know compared to the importance of what the military have done and do for us continuously. Because as you said, I recall very little education, during school. Maybe we did a bit leading into Anzac Day potentially, but like even the terms when you were saying RAR and all that, like they're foreign to me.
Yeah. Well, so what I used to do down on the Gold Coast, I was part of the RSL down there, and I used to be the school liaison officer, and I used to go around to all the schools on the Goldie and do exactly what we're talking about, and tell them about brief history of the military and that sort of stuff. But the Anzacs, like, what a courageous bunch of young men they were, like that just personifies Australia in a nutshell. Signing up, going halfway around the world and doing something that someone else has told you what to do, and then and doing that, losing your life for it. That is just like on a foreign country. You can't explain that, and you can't see that happening like right now, like in what Australia's going through at the moment. You'd be going like young people probably wouldn't do that.
100%.
And but we've had some massive famous battles in Australia that some just go just fly under the radar. Like one's today, like 3RAR landed and they on a hill called Capion. And they have a Capion Day in 3RAR, and 3RAR is a Royal Australian Regiment, and that's infantry, and that's what I was in. And 3RAR our parachute battalion, so they drop out with the parachute, and they flew in and dropped out on a hill called Capion and took the hill and secured the hill. Right. And it's a famous battle. And
where's Capion?
I believe.
Australia or?
Oh, no, it's not in Australia. No, I believe it's Korea or Vietnam or something like that. Okay. You're going to have to quote that.
No, yeah.
But that's a famous battle. So those boys and girls that are in 3RAR, they party for 2 days because they've got Capion Day today.
Gotcha.
And then they go and roll into Anzac Day. But we've had other famous battles, Long Tan. Like Delta Company 6RAR, the battalion I was in, like unbelievable out there in Vietnam in the rubber plantation, and that platoon held off like thousands of the NVA and Viet Cong that were attacking them, and all night they were in the jungle in the pouring rain and getting shot at, and they just stayed still and shot back until help arrived. And that's a famous huge battle of Long Tan. And then you've got Kokoda. Like, do we teach about Kokoda, the Kokoda track? Like, I actually walked it 5 years ago, and the pits that they dug are still there. Like the big huge rock in the middle of Kokoda, in the middle of the track where the doctors were severing arms of Australian soldiers, is still there. Like that, I just got goosey there and we very rarely hear of the war, like all the good stuff that's happened 100%. From Kokoda. Like imagine if that didn't happen. Like and the enemy got through Kokoda, which they nearly did, and just by chance they turned around up the top. They turned around and went the other way, and then we got them on a beach, and then they didn't go any further. But like imagine if they'd come back down through there and then got across into Darwin, it would have been a hard slog, and then come back down. Like quite possibly, if it wasn't for young Australians and fighting and protecting our country at that stage in those early days, we might not be like sitting here right now. We probably would be, but it would be a lot different. And so there's a lot of military, and that was just some of the stuff, like Simpson and his donkey. Like, do we touch on that? He is a legend too. Like, there's a lot of like historical things that have happened from Australian soldiers that we don't hear about, and I think that's a shame. Like,
it is. I agree.
You know, like it's a real shame that we don't.
It's the history is the history. I mean, it is like you can't just hush it down if there was any. I don't know the story, so I don't know negative or positive. But I think it's regardless. It's like it's the history of why we're here today and how we're here today. And at the time, people were trying to do the right. They were doing the right thing, or what they thought was the right thing. If there was any negative stuff, and then, but yeah, to have it not known is a bit of a shame. And that's where like the Americans. There's some things I probably don't envy about America. There's plenty of things I think they do really well, but their patriotism for their country is
second to none,
enviable. Like, and I think Australia lacks that. To be honest,
100%.
It's like it's disappointing. We've got to be proud to be here.
Well, you know, you can't erase history.
Exactly.
You can't erase history, and whatever happened in history, whether it be good or bad, it happened, and you've got to move on from that. So. You know, and I don't want to glorify the war or anything like that. It's 100%. Not, but you could leave out all the war-y bits and just tell the facts and get to the point of where you got to, and how we got there. You can imagine that you trip over to Gallipoli on that boat. Like, well, you didn't fly over first class.
No, exactly.
You know, that would have been a horrific trip in itself. Like, so yeah, I think that Australia. I hate to say it, but is lacking a lot of unpatriotic things at the moment. And I don't know, look, have we gone too far that it can't come back? You know what I mean? Like, are we one of the only countries in the world that burn our own flag? Like, that irks me. Irks me to the bone that
I agree.
that we burn our own flag, mate. Like, you know, a lot of people have died for that flag. Exactly. You know, like, and as much as some people say, well, they shouldn't have been there. It doesn't matter, man. They died for that flag, representing that flag, because someone from this country said, do you want to go over there?
Yeah.
And look, you don't get a hell of a lot of money for going over there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for your life.
For your life, right? And then for them to burn the flag, I don't...
No, it's insulting. It is insulting.
Oh, it's insulting, and I can't understand why the politicians... state or federal or anyone has not put a law in just yet.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been maybe Prime Minister for a day. Like, that'd be my first law.
Yeah.
Like, you get arrested, at least get arrested. Yeah. Like, it's just willy-nilly burn flags. Like, and
it's just like paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Just treating it like, yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't agree with that. So I don't know how far we've come down and if we can go back, but I would love to see some sort of like program that younger people can.
Yeah. I don't want to get, obviously, we don't want to roll it fully into the political side of things, but I do think it's, you know, I think it definitely overcorrected, and which then naturally, hopefully, will bring back a correction the other way, because people are going, nah, I'm not copping that.
No.
So I hope hopefully that's the direction that we.
Well, soldiers wear the Australian flag on their uniform.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to my army mates, you know, they're not overly happy or with that at all, you know, and that's probably one of the big things that they like, we fight with the Australian flag on our shoulders.
Yeah.
And then people are just burning it.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Nah, I agree, mate.
Something for someone else.
A bit more unity. We live in a bloody good place. We're so safe here. We got everything, and that's because of what the Defence Force has done, or they've played a big role in that. So, I was going to. So you were overseas. I know I've heard some brief stories in East Timor.
Yeah, in East Timor.
I don't want to push you on any stories, but you've shared a good one previously, more privately, about, I think it was a battle that you guys had that you come under fire from.
We had a few tricky incidences over there. We were sent to East Timor in 2000. I think the first contingent rolled in 99, and they got contacted straight away. And contacted means you get shot at.
Yep.
And then it went through the the wet season over there in Timor, and not much action happened. Because people can't move around when it's raining over there. They get the monsoon rains. And then when I went over in 2000, and I was actually there for Anzac Day, which is one of my special Anzac memories, it dried out. So there was heaps of movement. So they went over there at the start, there was heaps of movement. Wet season came, not much, and then it kicked on again when we were there. And yeah, over the course of the 4 months that I was there, 4 or 5 months I was there, we got into some tricky things. I was a section commander over there, so I had a section. I was in Bravo Company 6RR. We deployed, and before I go into those sort of stories, that battalion was made up of reservists. They weren't even regular people. But I can't understand. I can't remember why 6RR didn't have any regs, private soldiers or whatever. They all the NCOs were regs like me, but all the soldiers were reservists. We used to call them chocos back in the day. But they were all like, and I mean chocos because from Vietnam they were national servicemen, and they used to call them chocos because they were like chocolate soldiers because they would fall down from the heat carrying all the packs.
Gotcha.
So it just kept rolling on. But anyway, so the word got put out for any reservists that want to go and fight for their country or go come on operation. So we had like, in our company, we had like 200 or 300 men, right? And you have to whittle it down to like 90, right? So every Friday we would have a culling sessions, and there was people that were CEOs of Holden in Melbourne that had left their jobs and family to come to Brizzy to train to go over there. And then if they weren't good enough, then we would just send them home and we'd take the cream of whatever came. But yeah, so that whole battalion was full of reservists, except for the staff, or the corporals and the sergeants and the officers. We were all regs. And then so we got over there, and
is that like, obviously reservists are their training levels compared to the full timers, is that not far different?
100%.
That's what I would assume.
A little bit of miles apart, actually.
Okay.
Miles apart.
Wow.
And so we would be training before we went. Like, we would train every day, and then on stuff that we needed to teach them. And then on the Friday, if they weren't up to that scratch, and this went on for like 2 or 3 months. That before we deployed, we had this block of soldiers. And then every Friday we'd just get rid of a few, and then until we got our 90. And like they didn't know the basics pretty much, and they were only going every Tuesday night for like a month, like every Tuesday night, and maybe 2 weeks a year or something like that, 2 weekends a year. But yeah, we got over to East Timor, and we landed on at Dili. And the Spirit of Tasmania, that boat that goes from Melbourne or from Victoria over, they took us. That was because that was the biggest boat that could fit us all on, the whole battalion at one hit. So we left and we went over there on the Spirit of Tasmania. I remember, I thought it was pretty funny. And landed in the docks at Dili, and it was wasn't pretty hairy right at the start. It was kind of like being. Dili kind of looked like there was buildings on fire, like had been burnt down from the raids and everything. Because what happened is that militia got in, and then they were pushing back towards the border, and Dili's a long way from the border.
Is the East Timor? Well, I don't even know that story initially. So why were we there?
Well, we were trying to free them.
Yeah.
We were trying to liberate East Timor. And that had been going, I remember when I was a kid, and there would be protesters going free East Timor and stuff like that. I didn't understand what it was, but West Timor wanted to overrun them and take them over and that sort of stuff. And the actual guy from West Timor who was running the whole show was trained over here in RMC, which is the Royal Military College. We trained him, and then he went back. I know. So he was running the show over there, and so what happened is they brought everyone from Timor, and all the bad people, and not all the bad people. So there was people caught up in that were made to do it, because if they were told not to do it, their families would be killed. And then they were pushing them all, and then they got to a cliff in along the road, and then they got to a cliff. They threw a lot of people off that cliff, and then they just kept moving towards the border and destroying villages as they went. And yeah, it was pretty bad, killing people. And then obviously there was a lot of unrest, so they sent in, I think right at the start, they sent in the Australian Police Force, because they didn't think that it was going to be like it was going to be.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of police went over at the start, and then when rounds started going down range, then the police left, and then they flew in us. But yeah, we got over there, and we started doing patrols, and so we'd have bases set all around East Timor, along the borderline, our battalion, and we would do patrols. So like one base, you would do a patrol of the village or the town, and it was pretty much just to show security, so those people in that town could just start getting back with their lives. So like at one stage, like, and you would do it for 2 weeks, and then you would move on to the next AO, and then you just bunny hop around East Timor doing different things. And so, the village one, there would be like a huge open air market, and it would be eye-opening to all of us, because they would just carry their meat in a cart behind them, dripping blood, like there'd be like cows' heads and that, and they would be selling it, and we'd be like, oh, gee, look at this.
No refrigeration.
Yeah, and then so we would patrol up and down these open-air markets, so the vendors could sell their food to the other people without militia coming in and trying to kill them. So, yeah, and then the funny thing is that they had no, so obviously we had radios and that, and we had to talk back to the compound wherever we were, like every 10 minutes we had to give set reps. But they had no street names, so they, back at the compound, didn't know where we were. So we were allowed to name the streets in one of their villages. So I got a photo of me, and I named my street Natalie, which is my wife's name. So I'd be going, oh, we're at Natalie, and like they go, yeah, right, yeah, good, cool. And so the street name, I don't know if it's still there, but that was pretty cool. So yeah, we would do that, and then we would bunny hop around the AOs and just do different tasks that were set out for us, unless something huge happened, and it come down from, because I was over there with Cosgrove, Peter Cosgrove. Lieutenant Peter Cosgrove, he's like a legend. He was running the show over there. He became left the military, and I think he was Attorney General, or not Attorney, Governor General or something like that. Yeah, he was a very, very, very cool person to work for. Yep. Well, he was running the whole military over there, and unless something major happened, we would go and bunny hop around these AOs and do things. And one of the things that happened over there with that changed the whole scenario of things, because we have, and I don't know, I presume it still happens, we have these things, we call them off cards. They're red and blue cards, and they're rules of engagement cards. And whether you're in a quiet place like this, you'd be on the blue card, and there's all the rules that you can do and you can't do. And then you go to the red card, and we call them off cards because they're like soccer cards. Because we were over there with the Kiwis and the Australians were on the front line once again, okay, and every United Nations country behind us, like India and Pakistan, all those people were like back in the rear of the gear. And so we were on the front line with the Kiwis, and one day New Zealand section, which was like I had a section, there was about 7 or 8 men got contacted, shot at by militia, and got hit pretty hard. And the first person in that squad, in that section, got killed straight away, right? That Kiwi guy. And anyway, the rest of the section commander pulled his section back behind some cover, and they continued firing. And they had to go back and get him, obviously. And but by the time they got to him, he was dead. And they changed the rules of engagement straight away. They went, nah, bang, we'll give you like, I think it was 2 weeks, and you can throw the off cards away, and let's go and do some real army stuff.
So just to clarify, so blue card is...
Blue card was what I can remember, because that's 25 years ago. Blue card's kind of like you're patrolling around here, and it's no real danger, but you still, if you see someone, like sometimes, most of the time, some of those people had weapons and they were allowed to keep their big, huge machetes because they were for cutting cane and stuff over there for working. So we couldn't assume that was a weapon that they were going to kill us with. So we'd have to turn a blind eye until they raised it at us. They were allowed to keep that. So there was things like that, and you had to know that cards pretty.
So if it's a red card, and then you see that, the assumption was more along the lines of, okay, there's more
danger.
There's more danger, and if there's an imminent threat, then we can.
Yes, yeah. So
shoot.
So they, I think, like they can point a weapon at you or something like that, but until like they look like or that they've shot around, then you can do it. But when the New Zealand soldier died, we changed that, and we were allowed to do proper army stuff for a couple of weeks, and that's when things got pretty cool again, because like there was contacts and there was like other things happening out of that 2-week period. But once that 2-week period, we got to really put our practice and all my years before that, because I'd done like 13 years of my military career before I went over there.
Yeah.
So we were like setting up live ambushes, which wasn't under the United Nations before the off card before our 2 weeks. So we put in an ambush, which was cool. And then we did some building clearances where, so one night we were in one of these compounds and we were just on stretchers. I think we were doing VCPs, which is vehicle checkpoints with the big boom gates.
Yeah.
And we were magic wanding, so we had those wands that they have at the airport, and we were wanding all the trucks and cars coming back over across from West Timor, because they were letting people back in, like people that had just been caught up in it were coming back.
Yeah.
And we were wanding them to make sure they weren't bringing weapons and grenades and that, and they. Other companies in our battalion found grenades in those trucks and like rocket launchers and everything that they were trying to bring back. Anyway, so we were magic wanding these trucks. Anyway, I was asleep wasn't my picket, and I was asleep, and I got kicked in the foot. Like that's how you wake soldiers up. You kick them. You don't wake them up by the head because they crack up.
Yeah.
So they wake up. I got woken up and I looked up and I went, yeah, and they've gone come with me. I went, oh, okay. And then we went into the big, huge tent where all the officers were, and I thought, oh, God, I'm in trouble here. What have I done? Like, I was trying to go through my head of what I'd done. Like, is there most stuffed up here or what?
Yeah.
Anyway, got in there, and there was 2 spooks in there, intelligent people, we call them spooks, and they were sitting there, and there was an East Timor guy there, and I was like, this is interesting. What's going on, sir? And he's gone, you're going to do a early morning raid on a house on a suspect for a commander from the militia who killed like numerous amount of people. We believe he's in this house. This is our spy.
Right.
He's been in the house, and we have photos of the house. We have photos of the layout. And you're going to take your section in the morning, and you're going to kick down some doors, and you're going to go in and get him for us. I went, hell yeah, I am.
This just love that.
Here we go. So yeah, they gave us the order. They gave me the orders, and they had it up on screen like this tent. I'd never been in. You can see that stuff in the movies.
Yeah.
And remember, it was 25, 26 years ago now, so it's all like the technology's even better. But
crazy, yeah.
But back we had and they had slides and stuff, and I was like, wow, that's his house. And then so I had all my officers sitting next to me, and I think I was the first one in the battalion to do one. Not everyone. Some people got to go at it. Like my platoon, I did another one after that first one, and then each section commander in my platoon did 2 too. So, and they had that, and they said, right, that's the door. He's going to be in that room. You've got women and children in there. You've got you're going to have to kick that door in, and then there's an exit point. You're going to have to guard that, and as soon as you make noise, the whole village is going to wake up. You're going to have dogs barking when you walk in, and you're going to have chickens going off, and there's going to be a lot of noise and a lot of pandemonium. And I went, yeah, I'm good, let's do it. So I wrote up my orders, and then I went and woke my section up. And we're talking like, this is 3 a.m. And I wake them up and I said, let's go, come into the tent. And they're like, what's going on? And then when I told them, they're like, oh yeah, this is what, because I think this all happened in the first month that we were there.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Anyway, so we did it. We drove, it was about 5 Ks away. We drove about, I think, 4 Ks. We walked in the last K.
Yep.
I set up my early warning, I set up my security. I had my entry team, and we went in, and it was one of the first times that we were using night vision. We'd use it in training, but we had NVGs on, night vision goggles, and it was one of the first times that we'd really used them. And I don't know what they're like now, but back in the day, geez, like they were great to the fence, but you missed everything here. Like you trip over shit. And yeah, so we went in, and it was exactly like the pictures. It was exactly like the room was exactly like the pictures, but it was a little bit hairy in there. Like once you go in, like you kick that door down, and they're not like our doors here in Aussie. They're just like straw doors and stuff.
Yeah.
And, so we just smashed it in and went in, and yeah, there was unexpected stuff that happened in there that wasn't in the plan, but we got him out, and we zip tied him because they were our handcuffs. We zip tied him. He was on the ground, and then because of the noise, the whole village woke up, and the whole village. And now we're talking. This is at dawn, right? So it's starting to get light. So you can't, and people were coming out of the village, right? And so we had to surround our prisoner and call in the Land Rover that was K away to come in now. And they weren't happy. They just weren't happy campers.
Is like this guy respected in the community, in that village?
I think he was tolerated because of what he'd done.
He had the power.
Yeah, I think he was like feared more than anything.
Yep.
So yeah, we got him out, and there was a lot of like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There was a lot of swearing and a lot of threats. And but
he's speaking English?
Oh no, he's not speaking at all. We got him blindfolded and zip tied. He's face down in the dirt. He knows he's gone.
Yeah.
And but there are people coming out.
Gotcha.
And so. But no shots were fired, nothing like that. And threw him in the back of the vehicle, jumped in the vehicle, and we took off. And then we hand him over to the spooks, and they interrogate him. And apparently that one went to jail.
Wow.
Yeah, they convicted him of war crimes.
Yep.
And then so that was cool. And then
that is cool. Well, that's very interesting.
But the second one was a little bit more. The second one was a little bit more of a shit fight. Because we had to go down a road, and when we got to the end of the house was on the left, but when we got down the road, the spy didn't tell me there was sensor lights, and I've never seen sensor lights in East Timor. Like, I didn't know they were up with the technology of sensor light back in the day. So the sensor light went off as we were walking down the road, and I should have pulled out then because we were compromised. But I went into the hut. I got in there, and as we kicked the door down, the whole veranda fell in on us. We're standing there, and the veranda falls in, and when the veranda falls in, like, old mate's waking up, like he's coming out. So we didn't get the element of surprise there. So we had to a bit more swearing, and got him on the ground, and then dragged him out, and through the broken. But I think the United Nations went back that day and rebuilt his house for him.
Wow.
Oh, for his family anyway.
Yeah.
Because his family had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to him, but my other section commanders, they did one, and they were attacked with machetes. So I got off easy because my two went down pretty easily. But other section commanders, when they did theirs, they got attacked with machetes and stuff like that. So that was pretty hairy there for them. But and then so I probably had 3 or 4 hairy situations over there. Those two, and then there was a dry spell for a while, maybe another month, and then and then we went to a place, we got tanked, APC'd in, and it was some sort of rec house or recreation centre for East Timor, or some church or something, but it was up on a hill, and it overlooked a valley, and the militia were using the valley as a transport to transport smuggled things and get people back across the border. So we were there basically for a observation post.
Yeah.
Anyway, we patrolled in, and I did a big, huge clearance of the area to make sure there was no bad people, and I didn't really want any of the locals knowing that we were there at the start, because the normal locals were so friendly. Hey, like we'd walk into villages and they would all line the road in and shake our hand, and because they knew that time they were going to be safe that night.
There.
Yeah, and the chief would offer us the house. Like we go, no man, we're going to sleep out there. But so I didn't really want to know anyone was there. So we get into this church anyway. I set up these early warning things with like we used to put trip flares out, which it's just a piece of wire. We've seen it in movies, and with a thing that burns magnesium, and it's like lights up grid squares. It's just like huge, right? So I put them out. You put them out at night time just before dark, and then you unset the trip wire in the morning so people can walk around. Anyway, we've been there a few days, and we were doing pickets and with the binos and just looking and all that blah blah blah. Anyway, one night we were sitting there, and the trip flare went off. It was probably about 11 o'clock at night, and one of the trip flares went off, and it lights up. It's like a nightclub, and we were all like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And then, so I had one here, one there. I had them all around me, and then another trip flare went off on another angle, and this Churchill building that we were in, I've got a photo on my phone, it didn't have doors. It just had no doors. It was just a concrete slab. It didn't have doors. And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Why are my trip flares going off? And then we could hear rustling, and so I stood everyone to, which means we were all like very vigilant, had our NVGs on, and then rocks started hitting the roof, and we were like, oh, we're getting probed. And probe means that the enemy's coming to see our reaction, like to see how we work, like if we're a soft target, and they'll come back another time and just overrun us.
Right.
And
so like if you're going to start firing, or
they're going to see
just wait, or
see how far they can push us, and then when you open fire, then they move around to where the machine guns are, and then they try and take them out first, because they're the most powerful thing in your arsenal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're on the radio, and we had another detachment there with us, a proper someone from SIGs, and I think I had a recon guy there too. I don't know why they were there, but they were there with us.
Yeah.
And he was on the radio, and he'd had direct comms back to our battalion headquarters. Like I didn't have that.
Yeah.
He had that, so he was telling them what the go was straight away. And anyway, so we obviously went out in the morning and went, oh shit, and found a little bit of sign, but didn't find a light. Anyway, everyone knew about that. And then about 2 nights later, right, we had another section from our company down the road, probably about 2 Ks down the road. And I was actually on picket. Me and one of the diggers were on picket, and we've got the night vision gear, and and you're talking shit, and like just going, I just crave a hamburger, you know what I mean, like, and a nice coffee or something cold, and all of a sudden all hell broke loose, and rifle fire and explosions and just everything under the sun, and then over the radio you just hear contact, and you just go, what the fuck is going on down there? And so what happened was, I think those people that probed us had gone down in a couple of nights and went to probe them, like my mates down there, and my mates weren't having any part of that.
Oh, right.
So they fired back, and they must have got too close to them or something, and they just went like it's on now, like Donkey, it's on like Donkey Kong. And yes, they had an actual rocket launcher fired at them. Yeah, and so we got the radio message for us because in a section there's like in a perfect world there's 8 men, so you break it into 2 bricks, two groups of 4, and they said get down there, go send a brick down there. So I ran down the road. That's when I could run. I ran down the road about 1.5 km, and by the time I got down there, it was all over. And and then all the big wigs came out to us and looked at the probe and went down there. So yeah, that was quite hairy for a while. And then Anzac Day came, and that was pretty cool to spend Anzac Day on patrol. And we were on patrol right on the border, and I sit in. We left at like 3 a.m. or something, and they had a whole table full of the CSM had like a little bit of rum. Put like a rum in our coffee, like tradition. That's tradition for Anzac Day.
Yep.
Rum in your coffee.
Yep.
So we were allowed to have like, I don't know, a little bit of rum. And we got out on Anzac Day, and around about dawn, I put in a listening post. Which I was allowed to do what I wanted, and we watched the sun come up as a section on stand 2.
Yep.
And that was pretty sweet on Anzac Day.
Yeah.
But and then. So Anzac Day rolled on, and then it was starting to get like other companies in the battalion were getting hit hard.
Yeah.
But we weren't getting a lot right on the border where we were. It was happening more in the mainland kind of thing, and they were getting into some big contacts.
Yeah.
And then so we were set up for a like a river crossing.
Yep.
And I think I told this one at one of the footy things. And so we would patrol down to this river in a brick. And my boss was here for this one because our compound wasn't too far away.
Yep.
So usually the boss wouldn't come. Like he'd be back at the big compound, would be relaying messages. But he was here for that one. And we would stop people bringing illegal things over, like they were carrying, West Timor people were carrying like these big boxes of cigarettes, like carrying them on their heads and that, and they weren't allowed to apparently bring that back in. So we try and stop them. Anyway, they make up little markets right across the border, and the border from East and West Timor is just a riverbank.
Yeah.
And in the dry, there's no water in it. So you really can't tell which part's the middle of the border.
Yeah.
And so we were walking along, and we were probably about, 500 metres. We could see the market up in front of us, and we were going to the market to make sure everything was squared away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just rifle fire just unleashes on this market from across the border.
And there's all civilian,
so they were called Kapas, which was their special forces.
Gotcha.
And they were firing into the market. And we just went, let's go. I had my 4-man group, and we just ran up, and as soon they mustn't have seen us coming from their peripheral vision.
Yep.
And once, because we were only about 500 or 600 metres away, and we got to the market, and then they kind of like saw us, and they fired a couple of rounds at us, and then still firing, and this was all happening in like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Now we took up a fire position up on like this mound kind of thing, and the people were running past us, right? And I was on the radio to my boss, and I was like, no, obviously 600 metres, he can hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's going on? And I said, we've got 4 or 3 or 4 enemy, and we could see them. They were only like 400 metres from us, like out in the open, squatting and shooting back onto it. And then I said, I'm going to shoot. I'm going to engage here. And he's like, no, you're not. And I went, yeah. And he's like, and then we're kind of like, he's going, you're going to shoot across the border. And I went, oh, yeah. And he's gone, no, you can't do that. You can't, I went, well, and a round went past. And I went, hear that? He's gone, no, stay still. And I went, oh, okay. And my dudes are going, Gav, what's going on? Come on, let's go. Let's get them. And because they were like fully in our sights. Anyway, so we didn't shoot. And like I said, this happens in a split second. Yeah. And they went back into the bush and ran away. And we were like, what the shit? And then he came up and he said, Corporal, you pulled me to the side and he said, I said, what the fuck? I'm like, fucking lost my shit. And he's going, you can't, mate. You can't shoot across the border. It's an international incident. You will go to jail, mate.
Wow.
And if you shot those people.
Wow.
He said, I know it sucks, but you can't do it, mate. And I went, and I understood there and then. I didn't understand. Look, I understood right from the beginning that you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted, like, they would shoot.
Yeah.
They'd shot at innocent people and they'd had a pot shot at us. And I was like, well, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
But you can't do it. You can't shoot across the border. So.
Wow. That is crazy. That's a.
But the leadership. That was a big thing for me, that one.
Yeah.
All my time in East Timor leading was a big thing. And I think that's made me kind of like the person I am now.
Yeah.
Because there was some times over there that you just had to like, and remember I was still only like 33 or something, you know, I was still like not young, but I still wasn't old. Like I was still like,
because that's only half your life in there.
Yeah.
Military by then.
Yeah.
Like it's a long, but yeah, like you are young, but you're just being fast tracked to.
Yeah, and so I learned a lot over there, and I learned a lot about discipline, and I learned a lot about leadership over there and that sort of stuff. And I fully understand what he was saying, and imagine the shit fight that would have happened if I'd plugged those guys, because I had 2 machine guns, like big machine guns, like minimised next to me, and me and my other guy. We would have wasted those people quick smart.
Yeah.
So yeah, they luckily, because they couldn't shoot straight. Luckily, no one was hurt. No one was hurt. Not even the villagers they shot at the start, and they put in probably 30 rounds. It would have been 30 rounds. It was like, but rounds go real quick. Like it's not like the movies. Like in like rounds
just keep going.
Yeah.
One thing is that like obviously there's international laws and rules of engagement, and which are completely morally fit. Like it's a very no-brainer. But I think like situations like that where it's like if they had a fight at you, do you have the, or
No.
it's a hard and fast rule?
No. And
like it's like it seems it's sort of like obviously it's not a thing for some.
Yeah, some countries don't have it, and
is that their army or is that militia? That's like a
militia's militia's just like people that they've got together. Like let's say something happened and someone invaded Australia and we didn't have enough military, and you and me went, grab a rifle and let's go and do stuff. Okay. It's just like them. We weren't overly trained, but don't forget, old mate that was running the show was trained by us, and but some countries follow it and some countries don't, and we're one of the ones that follow it, and especially coming under the United Nations banner, and because we were the first contingent to go under the United Nations, that people that were there before us, others, they went under Interfet, and so we're fully under the United Nations banner, and so you've got to run with United Nations rules, and United Nations rules are, obviously you can't shoot across the border, and it's an international incident, and it's not fair, and like you're not supposed to shoot, or you can't shoot medics and like that sort of stuff. You can't shoot paratroopers coming out of the sky. You've got to wait for the land on the ground and that sort of stuff. So there is rules, but obviously not everyone follows them. But we Australia soldiers follow rules. Yeah, and
I mean, it's obviously topical at the moment. We don't need to go into that too much.
Thought that was going to come up.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we need to touch on it, but yeah, it does. The hardest part is we've got things happening over there, then getting played out in a onshore court of law. It just seems I don't know, something about it seems not right to me.
It's very fishy.
Yeah.
It's very fishy, and I don't want to touch on it either.
No.
Because it's politics and that, but it seems very fishy that a government's gone hard, like real hard on someone. And I mean, like putting billboards up in Afghanistan saying, if you've seen this guy commit a war crime, like, well, what's going on there? You know, like that's harsh.
That's not right.
And I don't think it's going to even play out, you know, like to be honest. I think what they'll be trying to do is discredit his name even more and drag it out for a few years and have the media.
Spend some money,
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then eventually drop it.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah, it's disappointing that it's got to that, but yeah, we won't go too much in onto that. This is public knowledge as far as I'm aware. I've seen this on a Cairns post.
Yeah.
In terms of your medical retirement.
Yeah.
A fall, you fell. Mm-hmm. Did I read 5 metres or is that incorrect?
No, it's be about that. We were on patrol again, and we had those night vision goggles that I've been talking about, and I've said it already. You lose that bit in the middle. Well, you did. I don't know if it's better now. And we were in on a patrol, and it was all shaly rocks, and we were trying to be quiet. And we had our day packs on because it was only a night patrol. It was only about 7-hour patrol.
Yeah.
And the first guy went all right. My scout went all right, and then I went up and I slipped and I fell off a cliff. And as I fell, I kind of spun around like a turtle and landed on my back. And and then my section were like leaning over the cliff going, Gav. Like whispering. Whispering because they're trying to be quiet. Yeah. And they've gone, are you all right, man? I go, yeah, I think I am. Yeah. And so they put some ropes down and I climbed up. And I said, well, we've made some noise, haven't we? And they've gone, yeah. Yes, you made the noise, not us. Anyway, so, and straight away my back hurt. Straight away. And I went, fuck, I'm too far in to go back. So I've got to keep going. And so I just kept going on the patrol, but my back hurt straight away. And then, I got back to the compound, and the smartest thing I've ever done, the second smartest thing I've ever done is I reported it straight away to the meds. I went in and said my back's fucked. They reported everything, which set the process in motion for when I got med discharged about three or 4 years later.
Yeah.
But that's the smartest thing. So if I was to say to anything, if you hurt yourself, get it documented straight away, because there's times where some people might not believe you, but if it's documented, and that and a whole lot of other things accumulated over the next 4 years that made me get med discharge. And I was hoping that you would touch on the discharge bit of me getting out of the military and how hard it was, and how if people are struggling to get help. Like I had a friend post something. He went to Rwanda, which is a whole different killer. That's another thing we don't talk about a lot, is Rwanda soldiers. Oh my God, like that was horrific in Rwanda for those boys, my mates over there, like horrific, like nothing you can even fathom.
In terms of like the conditions.
Massacres that they had to witness.
Wow.
Hundreds of people dying in front of them.
And just they're killing their own people.
RPK, the RPK, I think they call them the RPK, Rwanda Public, whatever they are, massacred people on a football field, and my mates couldn't do anything. They got told they weren't allowed to do it, and they were on top of a hill watching it. And we don't talk about that. Why not?
I've never heard about that.
No, of course you haven't. No. Anyway, so one of my mates just posted that he wasn't going well, and I texted him and said, mate, what's up? And he's gone, Rwanda and Somalia, and, Rwanda and Timor, and, Ben Robert Smith, and it's just all come to a head. And I said, mate, don't do something stupid.
Yeah.
If you've got, go and see people, because DVA have advocates and they can help you. And now you just don't have DVA. You have other things like Soldier On and Mates for Mates. There's a lot of organisations out there now that can help you. And, I'm big on men talking about
100%.
Can
I just go into the mental side of it? Because obviously it's like other stories I've heard as well is, this is I don't know if this was the case back then, but now I heard a soldier the other day who served recently, and he's flown back in from presumably the east somewhere. And within 24 to 48 hours, he's landed in Perth and he's back into, or it might have been a few years ago, maybe not today, but into civilian life. And then it's like, okay, I'll like just going, and you're like 24 to 48 hours ago, he's on the front line and seeing things that no one should see. Yeah. And then it's and obviously, just talk to me.
I'm glad you touched on it, Das, because I can only go from me, right?
Yeah.
So I was 17 when I joined, right? And I got out, I did like nearly 15 years, right? I was med discharge going into my 15th year. I had no civilian friends.
True.
I didn't have any friends. I had military friends, right? And they were my brothers, they were my friends, you know? So when I got out, what am I going to do? Like I was 17, I don't have a trade behind me. No one's calling out for someone that can shoot a rifle 300 metres. So really hard emotionally and mentally, you know, and bless my wife's cotton socks, man. She put up with a lot back in the day when I got out at the start because I wasn't right. And, you know, and that leads to all sorts of things. Like it leads to...
What was your exit year?
Exit year was 2003. So
2003.
Yeah.
And mental health back then was probably just like toughen the fuck up.
100%.
Just get out and face
toughen up. And so what do? You drink. You know, you're not working anymore, right? And you've been in the military for a long time and you've been at your peak fitness for a long time and you wake up in the morning and you go, oh, I don't have to go on that 5 or 10K run. Decent. I'll have bourbon. I'll day drink, you know? And then day drinking, like, leads to the lunchtime and you go, oh, fuck, what am I doing? And you get depressed and then other things pop up and you meet people in pubs, like, because, like, your wife's life hasn't stopped. She's going ahead with whatever her uni or her jobs and that. So you're going to the pub and you're meeting sketchy people, right?
Tuesdays at midday.
Yeah, and they're offering you sketchy shit.
Yeah, right.
Right, and then you go, yeah, let's do that, and then you just spiral, mate, and it's just a spiral. And if you have a safety net right at the end, and then it works. And some people don't, but like you said, it's a little bit better now when you've got a lot of organisations that can just help you. But back in the day, very difficult. And you know, my brother-in-law owned martial arts on the Goldie, and he saw me spiraling big time. Like, and I put on a lot of weight. Like, I went up to 120.
120.
I was just living the life, you know. Like
You'd be like nearly less 30 or 40 than that now.
Yeah. And I was like drinking, and I was doing other stuff, and I'd gone in and out of a couple of like rehab hospitals, and I just wasn't coping, and it was everything, you know. It was not having any friends, you know, like, and I couldn't talk to my friends anymore because they were gearing up to go to Iraq and back in the day, and the gun and all that, and like they don't want to talk to me. I'm a civvy now, like civvies, boring. You don't talk to them. So yeah, but my brother-in-law owned a martial arts down on the Goldie, and he said, Gav, you've got a lot of good qualities.
Yeah.
You're a good leader. I'd love for you to come in and, you know, like maybe be a mini instructor for me. Like, I don't know anything about, I can fight in the street. That's about it. And anyway, so he taught me a bit of Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And and I would sit at the front desk and mark people in. And I think that was the start of my volunteer career. And after that, I went and joined the RSL. Well, first I joined Meals on Wheels, and I didn't like, they were pretty, back in the day, they were sketchy. And then I went to the RSL, and then RSL to footy. And that's where I found my niche in coaching, and I was able to kind of like find people that I could talk to, like you and from footy, you know, like, and Jace, and all the boys out at footy are great. Like,
yeah.
So, but I think the martial arts that he taught my brother-in-law was Taekwondo, and Taekwondo was made in the military by General Choi, and so Taekwondo is very military. You stand in lines, you don't talk, and I love that. And that was that helped me a lot. But very hard for soldiers getting out. And like you said, one day you're there and next day you're here and you're putting out the garbage on the road and you're going out for the garbage and you're looking left and right and looking into the distances. Is anything going to happen here?
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time when I got home from and you can't sleep because you're used to sleeping out in the stars or you're little noises or whatever like that. And but it takes a while to even sleep in your bed because you haven't slept in your bed for a long time.
Yeah.
You haven't had a pillow. You haven't used a proper toilet back in the day. Everything's hard. Everything's hard. You haven't eaten with a knife and fork. You haven't been civil in a restaurant. And you haven't done anything.
Yeah.
All you've done is sat in the dirt and eaten a ration pack.
Yeah. Yeah.
And swore a lot. Smoked a heap of durries.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But we have a mutual friend that I was in the military with.
Yes.
I never deployed with Wombat.
Yes.
But he was one of the people that had shaped my career.
Yep.
Was Wombat.
Yep.
Wombat was a fantastic section commander. He was my section commander when I was, I think I was the Lance Corporal or something. And he was and Wombat, he's very professional what he does and that. Well, that tenfold when he was in the military.
Wow.
Yeah, tenfold. And he was fit and, we were a very good unit back then. And I hadn't seen Wombat for nearly 20 years.
So you were overseas together?
No, we never served together overseas. Okay. We served together in the battalions leading up.
Yep.
Leading up to it. And then I went over to Perth because I served in Perth before I went overseas. And then I served in Perth when I came home. And I lost contact with Wombat. Because you remember 26 years ago, we didn't have mobiles, or they were just starting to come out. So you weren't just texting your mates and sending them pics and stuff. You had to pick up a landline. And if he wasn't there, then they weren't going to get him. And then I came into North Cairns Tigers one day and I just heard Wombat's voice and I just went, I know that voice.
So there was no previous connection until the North Cairns?
No.
And Jace was the one who got you to North? Jace,
no.
Is that, oh no.
No, I was at Norths.
You were there beforehand?
Yeah, I was coaching Pyramid Power, which was Kevy and Tharaka and all those boys.
Yep.
I was coaching them and we won the reserve grade grand final in 2016 or 17.
Yep.
And then I went to Hammy said, "Oh, come over to North Cairns, mate, and you coach the Rezzies." And I went, "Oh, you're right." And so I brought all the Pyramid Power boys over with me. That's how they're all at the club.
Nice.
And Peter German and Ronnie Burns were there.
Yep.
Anyway, COVID was just about to hit and Nat had just joined the Navy and she'd been posted down to Nowra, right? And I was still up here at our house, looking after our house. And I said to Peter German, if I don't go now, they're going to close borders and stuff, mate. I've got to go.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no, go, bro. And so I went down. And anyway, so I was away for two and a bit years. And then when I was coming back, obviously come back. And I went back to go to North Cairns. No, Hammy rang me and said, we've got a new guy coming on. And I went, because I'd been watching North Cairns and you'd be getting beaten by 400 on sport bet for the worst team. And he's gone, you've got to come back. I said, no, I've put in job application as a reserve, because I coached footy down there. I coached Nowra Vikings to 2 grand finals in Div 1. And I found my niche. I found my coaching niche. I can speak well in front of a group, apparently. And he's gone, now we've got this guy from Geelong, Jace Tom. And I went, nah, you're not talking me into your shit. I'm not going back there. I want a winning culture now. And I'm going to go to Centrals. That's what I wanted, to go to Centrals. He's gone, no, Jace Tom. And I was like, I'll meet him. And then I met Jace and Jace is like, you meet him and you just pretty much don't forget him, you know what I mean? And I went, and Jace was like, I need you, man. I need you. And I went, all right then. And then he's gone, I'm going to get a friend of mine up, Darcy Keys, and I'm like, yeah, can he play? He goes all right. And then you came up, and then the rebuild started, and then and that's when the second time around where I met Wombat, and I rolled in. Jace was there, and Wombat just yells at me, and I was like, oh, Wombat, what are you doing here, bro?
Wow.
And it was unbelievable. And it's like, was never like. So when you meet other army people that you serve with, and you haven't seen them for a long time, it's like you haven't been away.
Haven't missed, yeah.
And we were just like straight into banter and that's really good. So if you're feeling that you need to talk to someone, go and reach out to your mates in the army because they've most probably done it and either going through it or about to go through it or come out the other side. And because that's
see what it's about.
You can talk to as much as you want to a psychiatrist or psychologist, but unless they've actually walked in your footprints, then I don't know.
That's fair. That is completely fair.
I wouldn't have a faintest what a police officer does on beat, you know, and they struggle too. AMBO struggle, nurses struggle, they all struggle, but everyone struggles for different reasons why they struggle, you know what I mean?
Again, that's like especially being police and AMBO's somewhat different, but being so far removed here, it's like I have zero concept of war and no, like I'm sure, do you have flashbacks and like things like that, like where it's...
You always have something.
Yeah.
And I go and see people for it.
Yeah.
But you always, I don't think it ever leaves.
No, I don't think it will.
Some things trigger it. Like I've learned not to deal with it, but I've learned trigger points where I can't watch the news at night, like the late night news. I used to love it because the late night news had all the war on there. You know what I mean? Like you could watch late night. I can't watch that. I know not to watch that because I'll go to bed and dream. You know what I mean? Like so that'll trigger me. I can't watch like war movies late at night. Like if I was to watch like an episode on like Netflix or something, like they had like a Navy SEAL thing or whatever, like I've got to watch it in the morning. Okay. So it gets out of my system. You know, I can't, like some things just trigger it. Like I might walk down a market and those markets will flash back into my head. Something, you know, like but there's things that I've done that we haven't covered that I don't want to circle back and do it because we don't have enough time. But some of those things, like on those building clearances, on those room clearances, they trigger me sometimes. You know, like you know, and even like loud bangs. I know that it was a lot, but I still like go, shit, what the hell was that? Like, you know, like and at home, like
it's a shock.
Our house, like we got big fences and like it's pretty secure there. So I've got a secure house.
That's good.
Yeah.
What about I guess a funny moment or like something a bit lighter that might have happened? I know there's probably a lot of shit talk and
there was a lot.
But there's one that's sort of like a
funny moment. A PG one. Look, a lot of funny things happen in the military, but overseas on operations, funny things. Well, a feel-good story would be you were allowed to get care packages, obviously. So Nat would send these care packages to me, and like she might send one like today, but I wouldn't receive it for 3 weeks or whatever, and there'd be like these big packages would come to the compounds, and then you'd have mail call every 2 weeks or whatever, and bang, 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 and Nat would send me these care packages, and in it would be like Sports Illustrated mag or like the newspaper, and I'd see like the Richmond footy scores or whatever like that, and salami and that sort of stuff. But one day she sent those popper things that you get at New Year's that put the streamers out, packets of them. I don't know why, but packets of them. So I handed them out to the kids outside the compound. Oh no, like running around and like we're like and they were popping. There was this, and like I remember the person who was running the show is like, who gave those kids that? I don't know, I'll find out, don't worry. But yeah, funny things like that. And other people get their wives and girlfriends to send them all like party hats and stuff, and we'd put them on the kids and shit. We'd run around. Because, you know, some of those kids in East Timor, and they've never even seen a shopping centre. They think their meat comes from a car, unrefrigerated. But and they but yeah, when we got back to Darwin, so we caught that Spirit of Tassie back, and then we landed in Darwin. Oh, Jesus Christ. We've just been over there for 5 months, and they said, "Oh, you can go into town. You can go into town." We're like, "Yeah, but you can't drink Yeah, okay. But you can go and get like Macca's or KFC or something like that, and you've got a curfew. You've got to be back like 7:30 at night. You can't drink. Do not drink. Yeah, right. Okay. So they let us out. And I think it was 30 at a time, and we got in there. And as soon as we got into town, like that, because I think Larrakia base is like 20 k's from actual.
In a bit,
yeah. And we got into town, and the first pub you walk past, all the boys are in there just drinking schooners and shit. And then
Lottie Darwin.
And then the curfew, they were trying to round us up, and it was like herding cats, and people were running around, they would just come back from the bush and they hide, they were drinking beers and shit. But there was a bit of,
that's great.
Boys got in trouble the next day, but like, what can they do really? Like, nothing was hurt and no one got into fights or anything. They were just having a few beers. And then we flew back.
Yeah.
We flew back and then back to Brizzy, and I went to hospital straight away because I was like, I was pretty well gone by then. My whole L4, L5 had fused. And here's a funny story. My whole fused, and anyway, I had to go and have my optic so I could walk again. But we were on this VCP one day, right? And because I said we were United Nations, so we had a lot of people there, that weren't really smicko, like the Indians and the Pakistanis and all those dudes, right? Anyway, we're on this VCP, right? And my digger goes to me, comes down, right? And it was all sandbagged up. And he's going, Gav, I've got this dude up here, and he wants to know if anyone's familiar with Glock pistols. I said, yeah, mate. I'd never seen a Glock in my life. Yeah, bring him down. He's come down, right? And he's got the Glock, right? And he's taken the slide off the Glock, but he's put it on backwards and it's jammed. And he's gone, can you fix this? And I'm like, yeah, shit, man, I can fix this. Looking around, we're all laughing. We go, yeah, bang, bang, bang on the table. And I've bent it all. It's all just bent up, right? And it's come off, but all the slide, it's not going back on. I said, there you go, bro. And I said, you've got to go, mate, we've got things to do. He goes back and he's like, he's walking away trying, you can see him trying to get it. It's never going to work. But yeah, I suppose it's not funny, but it was funny to us because we didn't see much funny stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like just little things like that make you laugh, made us laugh and stuff. Like you'd see like big banger buses just full of people just hanging out like you see in cartoons and just like waving to you and stuff. Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, no, that is unbelievable. I don't know, mate. I think that's all I've got for you for now. I'm sure we'll be able to sit down again and bloody run it.
Yeah, I enjoy talking to you, Dust. Thank you for having me.
No. Well, I think I've said this to the other guys as well, or particularly the Exert boys. Like, the men-to-men talking sometimes can be a hard thing, and this has given me a good sort of platform. A good reason to do it, because I probably wouldn't have done this with you in this sort of format. No, we would have sat down for a couple of hours and actually done it. So that is really I spoke about the why at the start, but that's actually one thing I do appreciate about it, because we can sit down and have a coffee. Yeah. And actually hear some amazing stories. And by, ordinary people who are, often people on these podcasts are famous or have done something, but we've got the stories that you've just told are absolutely amazing and crazy, and I think it's good I'm stoked to hear it. If nothing else, it's a selfish project for me. I get to hear those cool stories.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Really, I was a bit nervous coming in, not because what we were going to talk about. It was just a bit nervous. I was like, but it was good. It was like a therapy session, really. I got to talk and you got to listen, and I got some stuff off my chest. And obviously tomorrow's going to be
exactly, that's another big thing.
Bit of a day tomorrow. I've got a few things lined up, and I met Nat on Anzac Day, 33 years ago.
Wow.
So it's a little bit a special day in a lot of instances for me. And like unknown fact, I was born in New Zealand.
Wow.
All right. So I came over here when I was 6 months old. So I'm a real Anzac. Like I was born in New Zealand. I'm obviously a Australian citizen. I went to Timor with Australia. So yeah.
Your parents are Australian or New Zealand?
My mum's a Kiwi. We got nationalised together before, so I could be in the army. And my dad was born in Australia. My sisters were born in Australia, so I was the only one. And the funny thing is, Nat was born in New Zealand too, but in a different place. And she was like 9 when she came here. Anzac Day means a lot. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, mate. Thank you for obviously what you've done for Australia, one, but also for joining me, and thank you for our friendship. It's you've been a great person who randomly comes into my life. That's a funny part about this. I've met so many people from all over Australia, and there's so many different stories. So
thank you very
much.
Thank you for having me, Dust.
No, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.